Jack Calloway had never imagined he would be standing on the edge of the galaxy, looking down at a planet so strange and beautiful that it seemed like a dream. He was an engineer by training, not a diplomat or a soldier, but fate had a way of pushing ordinary people into extraordinary situations. The planet, known to humans as Viridian 7, was famous across the stars for being ruled by the mysterious alien queen Lysera. For decades, humanity had only known her from intercepted communications and fragmented reports from explorers who had seen her cities from a distance. No one had ever met her face to face. Until now. Jack's transport ship descended through the atmosphere with a low hum, the clouds below glowing with soft green and purple light. The team he was with consisted of diplomats, security personnel, and scientists, all tense as they approached the Grand Palace in the center of a sprawling crystal city. The structures rose high into the sky, glowing faintly as if they were alive. Bridges made of shimmering light connected towers that seemed impossible to build. Yet here they stood, solid and magnificent. "Look at this," whispered Kara, the lead diplomat, her voice trembling with awe. "I've read reports, Jack, but nothing prepared me for this." Jack adjusted his glasses and scanned the horizon. "It's incredible," he said quietly. "But don't forget why we're here. This isn't a sightseeing trip." Their mission was clear: negotiate a trade and technology sharing agreement with Lysera. Humanity had advanced, but Viridian 7 had secrets and technologies that could leapfrog human engineering by decades. However, the Queen was known for her unpredictability. Some said she would laugh in the face of protocol, while others claimed she could end entire delegations with a flick of her mind. When the delegation reached the palace gates, they were greeted by towering figures in shimmering armor, their faces hidden beneath smooth, reflective helmets. The aliens moved with a grace that seemed almost unreal, and every gesture was precise, calculated, and ceremonial. Jack felt a shiver of both fear and fascination. "Follow me," said Kara, stepping forward. "Stay close and don't do anything." Unusual, Jack swallowed nervously. He tried to follow the rules, but his curiosity often got the better of him. While the others were ushered into a large council chamber for the official meeting, Jack's attention was caught by a small corridor leading to what appeared to be private chambers. It was partially hidden behind a floating wall of light. "What's through there?" he whispered to himself. A faint sound of laughter reached his ears, a sound so musical and light that it made his chest tighten. He felt an almost magnetic pull toward it. Before he could stop himself, he had stepped into the corridor. The hallway was illuminated by soft glowing panels, and the air seemed warmer here, carrying a faint scent of something sweet, almost floral. At the end of the corridor he saw her, Queen Lysera. She was taller than he expected, with skin that shimmered faintly like liquid crystal. Her eyes were deep, almost endless pools of violet, and her hair flowed in long strands that seemed to float around her head as if in water. She was seated on a floating platform, her posture elegant, her expression amused. Jack froze, unsure whether he should bow, speak, or run. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice smooth, carrying both power and curiosity. Jack blinked. I'm Jack Calloway. I'm part of the human delegation." His voice sounded small in the enormous chamber. Lysera's lips curved into a smile, and she let out a soft laugh. It wasn't mocking, it was playful, almost melodic. "You are far braver than the others, or perhaps more foolish," she said. Jack's heart raced. He wanted to retreat, but something about her presence made him unable to move. "I didn't mean to," he started. She waved a hand, stopping him. "No matter. You are here now. That counts for something." She leaned forward slightly, her eyes locking onto his. "Tell me, human, do you understand the risks of being here alone?" I think so," he stammered. I didn't want to miss the chance to see you." Lysera laughed again, a sound that seemed to echo through the chamber. "Most fear me, you speak as though I am a story to admire rather than a force to avoid." Jack hesitated. Then, on a sudden impulse, he said the words that would change everything. "Wait, was that an offer?" The words were almost a joke, almost a dare, but they hung in the air. Lysera's laughter erupted, louder this time, filling the chamber. She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing as if she were weighing something invisible. "All right," she said finally, and Jack felt the weight of her gaze on him.
"I accept." The room went silent.
Jack's mind spun. Accept what? The laughter, the words, the playful tone, he could not tell. The Queen's expression, however, held no threat, only curiosity and amusement. Before Jack could ask more, a soft chime echoed in the chamber. The Queen gestured and a panel of light opened in front of her, revealing delicate floating symbols. She stood gracefully, gliding closer to him. "I wish to understand you, human," she said. "Not as a delegation, not as a representative of your species, but as you." "Your audacity intrigues me," Jack swallowed. I don't know what to say." "I didn't mean." "You do not need to mean," Lysra interrupted, her voice gentle. "Intentions matter less here. Your courage, your willingness to speak. It is rare among your kind. And rare is always interesting." Jack felt a strange warmth in his chest. He realized that nothing he had prepared for this mission could have led to this moment. He was not negotiating trade, not presenting technology. He was being observed, studied, and accepted. Lysra's laughter subsided, leaving only a calm, almost electric energy in the chamber. She extended a hand not in threat but as an invitation. "Walk with me, human. Show me how you think, how you move, how you see the world. Let us begin." Jack blinked, then nodded. He stepped forward, feeling a mixture of fear and exhilaration. As he moved beside the Queen, he realized that this moment, this unexpected, bold, foolish moment, had opened a door to something beyond diplomacy or politics. He was about to step into a world that no human had truly seen before. The corridors of the palace stretched endlessly, but with Lysra beside him they seemed less intimidating. She spoke of her world, her cities, her creatures, and her people, but always in a tone that invited curiosity rather than commanded obedience. Jack asked questions, sometimes naive, sometimes clever, and each time she answered, her laughter would bubble up soft and musical, as if she enjoyed his company more than she enjoyed her court. Hours passed, yet it felt like minutes. Jack began to notice the subtle patterns of the palace. Lights that pulsed like hearts, floors that responded to thought, and doors that opened only when one approached with intent. Every step revealed something extraordinary, and every laugh from Lysra encouraged him to push further, to explore deeper. Finally, they arrived at a balcony overlooking a sprawling city. The towers shimmered, rivers of light twisted through the streets, and creatures of all shapes and sizes moved gracefully in harmony with their environment. The sight took Jack's breath away. "This is incredible," he whispered. Lysra smiled, her eyes reflecting the glowing city. "And this is only the beginning. You have opened the door with your words, human. Curiosity, courage, and a touch of foolishness. These are qualities I value. You may yet surprise me further." Jack nodded, trying to steady his racing heart. I hope I can live up to that." "You already have," she said, turning her gaze back to him. "But be warned. Understanding this world fully will not be easy. The paths ahead are strange, sometimes dangerous and full of lessons that test more than strength. They test the mind, the heart, and the spirit." Jack felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He had stepped into the unknown, guided by the laughter and acceptance of a being far beyond human comprehension. For the first time in his life, he realized that adventure was not about seeking glory or avoiding danger. It was about embracing the unexpected, about daring to speak even when you are unsure of the consequences. As the night fell over the glowing city of Viridian 7, Jack stood beside Lysra, the human engineer who had walked into history by accident. The Queen's laughter echoed in his mind, a melody that promised discovery, friendship, and perhaps even something more. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers, but for the first time, Jack felt ready to meet it, not as a visitor, but as a participant in a story that would span worlds. And somewhere deep in the heart of the palace, a soft, amused thought lingered in Lysra's mind. This human, he may be foolish, but he is extraordinary. After that fateful night on the glowing balcony of Viridian 7, Jack Calloway could not sleep. His mind raced with questions, with wonder, and with the strange feeling that he had stepped into a story far bigger than himself. The Queen's words, her laughter, and her sudden acceptance of his offhand comment replayed endlessly in his mind. "Walk with me, human," she had said. That simple invitation had turned his mission upside down. The next morning, Jack found himself waking to soft violet light streaming into his quarters. He had been assigned a small room within the human delegation's area of the palace, but it was nothing like Earth. The walls seemed alive, subtly shifting their hue to match the mood of the occupant. His reflection in a polished surface was still human, still familiar, yet he felt changed. Kara, the lead diplomat, knocked and entered quietly. "You've been missing from the council meeting," she said softly. Her eyes were cautious, suspicious, and slightly amazed. "Everyone is asking what happened with the Queen. No one has ever spoken with her alone and come back." Talking, Jack rubbed his eyes. "I don't really know what happened," he admitted. "I just said something dumb and she laughed. Then she accepted it. I have no idea what it means." Kara studied him as if measuring his truthfulness. "Jack, this could be dangerous. The Queen is not known for being flexible. Most humans never leave the palace alive." "I know," Jack said, "but I felt safe. Not like there was no danger, but safe in a way. Like she wanted to know me, not just my mission." Kara shook her head. "You're impossible." She left, leaving Jack alone with his thoughts. The memory of Lysera's violet eyes and musical laughter lingered in his mind. There was a strange warmth in it, a sense that something bigger than him was beginning to unfold. By mid-morning, Jack was summoned by the Queen herself. He walked through the corridors, guided by the same floating light panels that had fascinated him the previous day. Each step seemed to resonate, echoing softly, and Jack felt as though the palace itself was alive, responding to his presence. He entered the central chamber where Lysera awaited. She was seated on a floating platform, surrounded by delicate patterns of glowing symbols that swirled gently around her. When she saw him, she smiled, and her laughter, soft and musical, welcomed him like an old friend. "You have returned," she said. "Good. There is much I wish to show you. Much I wish to see from your mind," Jack swallowed. "Show me, see from my mind?" Lysera's smile widened. "You humans have ingenuity. You think in ways my people rarely do. I wish to understand that. And to do so, you must face my trials, not of strength, not of combat, but of thought, courage, and spirit." Jack felt a thrill of excitement. Trials. This was more than he expected, yet something about the Queen's tone made him unafraid. He nodded. "I accept." "Good," Lysera said. "Then we begin." The first trial led Jack to a hall that stretched endlessly, filled with translucent platforms hovering in the air. He had to cross them to reach the other side. It seemed simple, yet as he stepped, the platforms shifted and rotated in response to his weight, forcing him to calculate angles and timing with precision. One false move, and he would fall into a pool of soft glowing mist below. Jack focused, using his engineering training to anticipate the platform's movement. He calculated distances, adjusted his balance, and slowly but surely made his way across. Lysera floated beside him, her eyes curious and approving. "You think logically, human. But there is more than logic here. Creativity, imagination. These are also tested." The second trial was a room filled with holographic puzzles. Shapes and colors danced across the walls, forming sequences that seemed impossible. Jack studied the patterns, analyzing and testing possibilities. Hours passed, yet he refused to give up. With patience and determination, he began to see the hidden rules behind the chaos. Finally, the last puzzle clicked into place, and the room lit up with soft light. Lysera's laughter rang out, warm and approving. "You see beyond the obvious. Good." The third trial was perhaps the most unusual. He was placed in a simulated environment, where he encountered alien creatures of every shape and size. Some were gentle, others cautious, and some appeared dangerous. His task was not to fight, but to communicate. He had to observe, understand, and adapt his behavior to gain their trust. Jack relied on gestures, tones, and patience. Slowly, the creatures responded, forming a path that led him to the exit. "You understand empathy," Lysera said. "You value life, all life. That is rare. Many humans think only of survival. You think beyond yourself." Jack felt a sense of pride, but also humility. He realized that the trials were not about proving his superiority, but about revealing who he truly was. Each challenge reflected a different aspect of his mind, his heart, and his spirit. And through it all, Lysera laughed, not cruelly, but as if delighted to witness his journey. Days passed. The trials grew more complex, integrating elements of both his engineering mind and his human instincts. In one test, he had to repair a complex alien mechanism without instructions, using only logic and observation. In another, he had to navigate a forest where every step altered the environment around him, testing adaptability and foresight. Through each trial, Jack and Lysera spoke often. She asked questions about Earth, about humans, about his thoughts and feelings. He was surprised by her curiosity and the depth of her understanding. She did not judge, nor did she test merely for amusement. Instead, she observed, guiding him subtly, encouraging him to think in new ways. One evening, after completing a particularly difficult challenge, Jack sat on the balcony of his quarters, looking out at the glowing city. Lysera joined him, her presence calm and reassuring.
You are doing well, human, she said.
But the trials are not just about skill. They are about growth, about seeing the world differently. I didn't know this would be so personal, Jack admitted. I thought it was about proving myself to you or your people. Lysera's eyes softened. The world does not need you to prove yourself. The world needs you to understand it. That is why I accepted your offer. You are willing to see, to learn, to act with courage. And that is rare. Jack felt a strange warmth. He realized that his initial bold words, spoken almost jokingly, had led to something far deeper. The Queen's laughter had been an invitation into a world of understanding and respect. And through these trials he began to see the planet not as a distant curiosity, but as a living, breathing place full of complexity, beauty, and wonder. As the days continued, Jack faced the final trial. He was brought to a chamber where the walls reflected his image, not as he appeared physically, but as he was seen through the perception of others. His courage, his fear, his hope, and his curiosity were all laid bare. To pass this trial, he had to confront his own self-doubt and recognize his own strengths. Jack closed his eyes and thought of his family on Earth, of the friends he had left behind, and of the future he hoped to help build. He realized that he had already passed the trial, not by solving puzzles or navigating platforms, but by being true to himself. When he opened his eyes, the chamber glowed warmly, signaling his success. Lysera appeared, her expression one of quiet admiration. You have done well, human. You have shown intelligence, courage, creativity, and empathy. You have passed not only my trials, but the test of your own spirit. Jack felt a mix of relief and awe. I don't know what to say. Then do not say anything, Lysera replied, her laughter soft and approving. Actions speak louder than words, and your actions have been remarkable. From that moment, a bond began to form between them, not just of ruler and visitor, but of mutual respect and understanding. The Queen's laughter, which had first startled him, now felt like a guiding force, encouraging him to explore, to question, and to grow. That night, as he lay in his quarters, Jack thought about the journey so far. He had come to Viridian 7 expecting diplomacy, perhaps negotiations, and certainly danger. Instead, he had found curiosity, challenge, and an invitation to something extraordinary. He realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and Viridian 7 held secrets and wonders that no human had yet seen. And at the center of it all was Lysera, the queen who laughed, who tested, and who had accepted a human's bold words not with anger, but with curiosity. Jack knew that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with courage, ingenuity, and the strange, exhilarating feeling that he was part of something larger than himself. The trials had ended, but the story was far from over. For Jack Calloway, the journey had only just begun, and somewhere deep in the glowing halls of the alien palace, the soft echo of Lysera's laughter promised that the next chapter would be even more extraordinary. The morning light on Viridian 7 was unlike anything Jack had ever seen on Earth. The sky shimmered with hues of violet and green, and the air carried a faint, sweet fragrance that seemed to invigorate every sense. After completing the trials, he felt a strange mixture of pride and curiosity. He had proven himself in ways he had never imagined, yet he knew the journey was far from over. Queen Lysera had accepted him, yes, but the mysteries of her world were deep, and she seemed determined to reveal them gradually, testing him, teaching him, and guiding him through experiences that no human had ever encountered. Jack made his way to the central chamber, guided by the same glowing light panels that seemed almost alive. As he entered, Lysera was already there, seated gracefully on her floating platform. Her eyes sparkled with amusement and curiosity. "Good morning, human," she said, her voice calm yet filled with energy. "You have rested well, I hope." "Yes, thank you, Your Majesty," Jack replied, bowing slightly. Despite the bond they had begun to form, he still felt a natural reverence for her presence. Lysera's laughter followed, soft and musical. "Reverence is expected, yes, but you may speak freely. Today we explore something deeper. Not just your mind or spirit, but your understanding of our world and its challenges. Are you ready?" Jack took a deep breath and nodded. "I am ready." She waved a hand and a large map-like projection appeared in the air before them. It showed the terrain of Viridian 7, its cities, forests, mountains, and rivers of glowing light. But unlike ordinary maps, this one seemed alive. Streams of energy pulsed through it, and the shapes of creatures moved within the terrain as if the planet itself were aware of their presence. Our world, Lysera began, is complex. It thrives because every creature, every being, every structure works in harmony. But there are challenges, hidden dangers, political tensions, and environmental forces that test even the most skilled among us. Today you will witness these challenges firsthand, not as a visitor, but as someone who may one day help shape the future of both our peoples. Jack felt a shiver of excitement and anticipation. He had expected diplomacy, perhaps tours of the city, but this was an adventure. And the Queen had chosen him as her companion. The first destination was the forest of Lumeris, a vast expanse where bioluminescent plants and trees glowed softly in shifting colors. Strange creatures flitted between branches, their wings shimmering like stained glass. Lysera floated beside him, observing his reactions. "This forest," she said, "tests perception and adaptability. The paths shift constantly, responding to thought, movement, and emotion. One must be attentive, patient, and creative to navigate it safely." Jack stepped carefully onto the glowing ground. At first the forest seemed peaceful, almost serene. But soon the path shifted, and glowing vines curled unexpectedly, blocking his way or lifting him gently into the air if he misstepped. He realized that moving through Lumeris required observation and understanding of subtle patterns. How light pulsed in the plants, how creatures moved, how the terrain itself reacted. Lysera watched silently, occasionally laughing softly when Jack paused, puzzled by a shifting path. "Do not fear mistakes, human. They are part of learning. Observe, adapt, and you will succeed." Jack's mind raced. He studied the pulsing light, the rhythm of the vines, and the movements of small creatures. Slowly, he began to see patterns, anticipating how the forest would shift and how to move in harmony with it. By the time they reached the center of Lumeris, he was exhausted yet exhilarated. "You adapt quickly," Lysera said, her eyes bright with approval. "Few of my people manage this so well. You think not only with logic, but with intuition. That is rare." Jack smiled, feeling a new confidence. "I think I understand. The forest isn't just about walking. It's about seeing connections, noticing patterns, and moving with them." "Exactly," Lysera said, nodding. "And that is how you will need to think about many things in the days to come." From the forest, they traveled to the city of Erythal, a place where towers floated above the ground, connected by bridges of light and energy. The city was alive, and its citizens moved in harmony with the structures around them. Lysera explained that the city required constant attention to maintain balance. Energy flows had to be monitored, disputes resolved diplomatically, and ecological systems managed with precision. Jack observed carefully as Lysera led him through the city. They met scientists, engineers, and leaders who explained their work, challenges, and innovations. Jack realized how advanced the aliens were, not just in technology, but in thought. They valued balance, cooperation, and creativity above raw power. "You humans are different," Lysera said as they walked along a bridge of light. "Your species values resourcefulness, courage, and innovation. You do not always follow rules, but you find solutions. That is why I find you intriguing." Jack laughed nervously. "I hope that's a good kind of intriguing." Lysera's laughter rang out again, warm and musical. "It is human. It is." The next challenge came unexpectedly. As they traveled through the city, an energy surge caused a bridge of light to collapse ahead of them. Citizens scrambled, unsure how to repair the pathway without proper tools. Jack instinctively acted, using his engineering knowledge to stabilize the bridge temporarily. With guidance from Lysera, he adjusted energy flows, creating a safe path for everyone. "Quick thinking, human," Lysera said, her eyes reflecting both amusement and respect. "You act not only with intelligence, but with concern for others. That is rare in any species." Jack felt pride mixed with humility. He had solved the problem, but he realized the Queen's world was filled with challenges far beyond his training. Every step required observation, thought, and compassion. He was learning quickly, yet he understood that he was only scratching the surface. Later, they visited the Council of Light, an assembly of leaders from various alien factions. Political tensions ran high, and Jack observed quietly as Lysera mediated disputes with skill and patience. She encouraged him to ask questions, offering insights into negotiation, strategy, and diplomacy. Jack realized that human boldness combined with alien wisdom could create solutions that neither side could achieve alone. "Your perspective is fresh, human," Lysera said as they left the council chamber. "You see possibilities that others overlook. That is why I accepted your offer. You are capable of thinking beyond your species' limitations." Jack was both honored and overwhelmed. He had not expected to play a meaningful role so quickly, yet he trusted the Queen, and he knew that she would not put him in danger needlessly. As night fell over Erythal, the city glowing like a constellation, Lysera took Jack to a quiet observation deck. Below, the lights of the city reflected in rivers and towers, creating a vision of harmony and wonder. "Do you understand now why I tested you?" Lysera asked softly. "I think—" "Yes," Jack replied. "It wasn't just about proving myself. It was about understanding your world, its people, and myself." Lysera smiled, a rare softness in her gaze. "Exactly. You humans are capable of great courage and ingenuity, but you must also learn patience, observation, and empathy. These trials are designed to help you grow, not just succeed." Jack nodded, feeling the truth of her words. I want to understand more. I want to help if I can." Lysera's laughter followed, gentle and approving. "And you will, human. But understanding is a journey, one step at a time. Today you learned about harmony, adaptability, and compassion. Tomorrow the challenges will grow, but you are ready." The following days were filled with more experiences that tested Jack's mind and spirit. He explored alien ecosystems, solved problems that required both creativity and logic, and observed Lysera interacting with her people in ways that inspired him. Each day, the bond between them grew stronger, built on respect, trust, and shared curiosity. Jack began to see the Queen not only as a ruler, but as a guide and mentor. Her laughter, once surprising, now felt like a steady rhythm guiding him forward, encouraging him to explore, question, and grow. He realized that this was more than a mission. It was a chance to be part of something extraordinary, to bridge two worlds with understanding and cooperation. By the end of Part 3, Jack stood once again on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. Lysera joined him, her eyes reflecting the lights below. "You have done well, human," she said. "But remember, this is only the beginning. The universe is vast and there are many challenges ahead. Together we may shape the future, not just for our peoples but for generations to come." Jack nodded, feeling a mixture of anticipation and determination. He had learned much, yet he knew there was still more to discover. The Queen's laughter, the trials, and the lessons had changed him. He was no longer just an engineer or a visitor. He was a participant in a story that spanned worlds, a story that had only just begun. And as the lights of Erythal shimmered below, Jack understood that the galaxy held wonders, challenges, and friendships that no human could have imagined. And at the center of it all was Lysera, the Queen who laughed, who guided, and who had accepted a human's bold words not with anger, but with curiosity and trust. The days following Jack Calloway's successful trials passed with a rhythm that was both exhilarating and exhausting. The glow of Viridian's 7 cities and forests had become almost familiar to him, yet each moment carried a sense of discovery. Queen Lysera's world was complex, vibrant, and alive in ways that no human imagination could have fully anticipated. Every interaction, every lesson, and every challenge seemed designed to deepen his understanding, not just of the planet, but of the extraordinary ruler who had accepted his bold words. This morning, Jack was awakened by a soft hum in the walls of his quarters. The light panels glowed with a calming blue, signaling the start of a new day. He rose and prepared himself, anticipating another session with the Queen. As he walked through the palace corridors, he noticed subtle changes, small patterns of light that seemed to respond to his presence, as if the building itself was alive, aware, and guiding him. When he arrived at the central chamber, Lysera was already waiting, seated gracefully on her floating platform. Her violet eyes sparkled with amusement, and a soft laugh echoed through the room as she observed his entrance. "Good morning, human," she said, her voice carrying warmth and authority. "I hope you are ready for today's challenges. They will test not only your mind and spirit, but your understanding of cooperation and leadership." Jack nodded. "I'm ready, Your Majesty. I want to learn as much as I can." Lysera's smile widened. "Good, that is the right attitude. Today we will explore the delicate balance of our society and the alliances that sustain it. Your perspective may help us see solutions that my people have overlooked. She gestured toward a large map projected in the air, showing regions of Viridian 7 he had not yet seen. Energy flows, city connections, and territories of alien factions were depicted in glowing lines and symbols. These are areas where tension runs high, Lysera explained. Disputes over resources, differing priorities, and the demands of survival create friction. You will observe, understand, and offer solutions if you can. Jack felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. This was no longer a simple exploration or trial. He was stepping into real challenges with real consequences. Yet he trusted Lysera's guidance, and he knew that her laughter, soft, musical, and full of curiosity, was a signal that he was ready. Their first stop was the city of Ilthara, known for its advanced energy systems and diverse population. The city floated above vast plains, connected by bridges of light that pulsed in rhythm with the energy flowing beneath. Lysera explained that Ilthara had been facing conflicts between its districts over resource allocation and infrastructure maintenance. The disagreements were subtle but significant, and the citizens looked to the Council of Light for solutions. Jack observed quietly as Lysera met with council leaders. She facilitated discussions, encouraging dialogue and compromise. Jack noticed how her people valued creativity, empathy, and respect for others' perspectives. Their systems were not just functional, they were built on understanding, communication, and mutual benefit. Observe closely, human, Lysera said. Leadership here requires insight, patience, and the ability to see beyond immediate needs. Do you understand? I think so, Jack replied. It's about listening, understanding motives, and finding solutions that satisfy everyone, not just imposing decisions. Exactly, Lysera said. You humans have the potential to offer unique perspectives because you are not bound by our traditions. Your experiences are different, and that can be valuable. She turned to him with a smile. Would you like to try? Jack nodded, his heart pounding. He stepped forward, carefully analyzing the situation. Drawing on his knowledge of human systems and problem-solving, he suggested a compromise that allocated resources based on both need and contribution, while proposing a system for monitoring and adjusting allocations dynamically. His solution combined logic with flexibility and empathy. The council leaders were initially surprised, but after discussion, they agreed. Lysera's eyes gleamed with approval. You have done well, human. Your thinking is clear, creative, and considerate. That is exactly what is needed. Jack felt a sense of accomplishment, yet he knew there was much more to learn. The next challenge came unexpectedly. As they moved through the city, an energy surge caused instability in one of the main bridges connecting districts. Citizens panicked, unsure of how to stabilize the bridge. Jack instinctively sprang into action. Using his engineering knowledge, he analyzed the energy flows, adjusted them, and stabilized the bridge. The citizens moved safely across, and the bridge resumed its rhythmic glow. Lysera's laughter filled the air, soft and approving. You act with both intelligence and care for others. That is rare, human. Most focus on success alone, but you consider the consequences for those around you. Jack realized that this was a recurring theme in his journey with Lysera. Success alone was never enough. Understanding, empathy, and collaboration were equally important. Each challenge tested not only his mind but his character. After the city visit, Lysera guided Jack to the Lumeris forest once again, this time for a deeper purpose. They observed the delicate ecosystems, the creatures, and the interaction between flora and fauna. Lysera explained how every element of the forest depended on cooperation and balance, mirroring the society above. You humans often overlook connections, Lysera said. You focus on individual achievements, but sometimes, the greater success comes from understanding relationships and interdependence. Jack nodded thoughtfully. I see, it's like the city and the forest are connected. Both need harmony to thrive. One cannot succeed without the other. Exactly, Lysera said, her violet eyes gleaming. And now, human, you will take a step further. You will help mediate a delicate situation between factions that have long been at odds. Jack's eyes widened. Me? Mediate between alien factions? You have shown judgment, courage, and empathy, Lysera said. You may offer solutions that my people cannot see. He followed her to a council chamber where representatives from two factions waited. Tension was palpable. Voices were raised, Accusations were exchanged and mistrust hung in the air. Jack took a deep breath and remembered everything he had learned from Lysera. He began by listening carefully, asking questions to clarify concerns, and acknowledging the validity of each side's perspective. Then he proposed a solution that balanced resource distribution with mutual responsibilities, ensuring that both factions would benefit while maintaining harmony. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then leaders nodded, some smiling cautiously. Lysera's laughter, soft and approving, filled the room. "You have done well, human. You do not impose solutions. You guide understanding. That is true leadership." Jack felt a mix of pride and humility. He realized that Lysera's acceptance of him had opened doors not just to adventure, but to responsibility. He was beginning to see that his role extended beyond observation. He could influence outcomes, foster cooperation, and build bridges between species. As evening approached, Lysera led Jack to a balcony overlooking the glowing plains of Viridian 7. The cities and forests shimmered, reflecting the harmony and challenges of her world. "Do you understand now why I accepted your offer?" Lysera asked softly. Jack nodded. "Yes, you trusted me because I was willing to think, to act, and to understand beyond myself. I didn't just succeed in trials. I learned and contributed." Lysera's smile softened. "Precisely. Courage and ingenuity are important, but empathy, observation, and cooperation are what truly matter. You are human, yet you embody qualities that resonate deeply here." Jack looked out at the glowing landscape, feeling a profound sense of connection. He realized that his journey with Lysera had changed him. He was no longer just an engineer or a visitor. He was a participant in shaping the future of a world and, potentially, the relationship between two species. The night deepened, and the city lights reflected in the rivers and towers, creating a vision of harmony and possibility. Lysera joined him, her presence calm and reassuring. "Tomorrow," she said, "we will face new challenges. But remember, human, the path forward is not just about skill or knowledge. It is about understanding, connection, and courage. You have begun well, but the greatest tests are yet to come." Jack nodded, feeling both anticipation and determination. He had learned much, yet he knew there was still more to discover. The Queen's laughter, the trials, and the lessons had prepared him, but he understood that true mastery of this world would require patience, insight, and continued courage. As he looked up at the stars above Viridian 7, he felt a mixture of excitement and resolve. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and challenges, but he was ready. With Lysera's guidance and the trust she had placed in him, Jack knew he could face whatever came next. And somewhere deep in the palace, a soft, amused thought lingered in Lysera's mind. This human is extraordinary, not because he is fearless, but because he dares to understand. The bond between Jack and Lysera had grown stronger, forged through trials, challenges, and shared experiences. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain. Together, they had the potential to create a future that neither species could achieve alone. The morning light on Viridian 7 was softer than usual, casting long streaks of violet and gold across the city and forests. Jack Calloway felt an unusual calm as he walked through the palace corridors. Today was different. There was an air of anticipation that he could feel even in the walls of the palace, alive with subtle pulses of light. Queen Lysera had requested that he meet her at the central chamber early, signaling that the day ahead would mark a turning point. Jack entered the chamber to find Lysera already waiting. Her floating platform glimmered softly, and her violet eyes held a mix of amusement and seriousness. "Good morning, human," she said, her musical voice carrying both warmth and command. "Today you will witness the culmination of what you have learned, and your choices may shape the future of our world." Jack felt a thrill of excitement. He had grown so much since his arrival, but he understood that this day would test not only his skills but his judgment, his courage, and his understanding of balance between humans and the alien society. "I am ready, Your Majesty," he replied. Lysera nodded. "Very well. Come, we begin." They traveled to the Council of Light, where the leaders of Viridian 7's various districts and factions were assembled. The atmosphere was tense. Disagreements over resources, territories, and governance had escalated in recent months. Jack had observed these tensions before, but today he realized he was no longer merely an observer. Lysera had entrusted him with a role in guiding the discussions. "You have seen our world, human," Lysera said softly as they approached the council. You understand our strengths, our vulnerabilities, and the potential for cooperation. Speak with wisdom and your insight may create lasting change." Jack inhaled deeply. He remembered the lessons from the Lumeris forest, the city of Erythal, and the trials she had set before him. Observation, empathy, logical thinking, and courage had brought him this far. Now he had to combine them all. As the council meeting began, the representatives voiced their grievances and proposals. The debates were heated, some leaders pointing fingers, others demanding solutions, and still others expressing fear for the future. Jack listened carefully, noting patterns, motivations, and points of agreement. Finally, he stood and addressed the council. "I understand that each of you has valid concerns," he began, "but focusing solely on individual gain or past grievances will only prolong conflict. What Viridian 7 needs is a system that allows cooperation while respecting differences, one that balances resources, responsibilities, and benefits so that all factions thrive together." He proposed a plan that incorporated technology, energy management, and rotational leadership. The plan allowed each faction to manage certain territories or resources while collaborating on larger projects. It also included a monitoring system to adjust allocations based on population growth, environmental impact, and resource usage. The room fell silent. The council leaders exchanged glances, some skeptical, others intrigued. Slowly, nods of approval spread. Lysera's eyes sparkled with approval and amusement. "The human speaks with clarity and wisdom," she said. "You have seen our challenges not as an outsider, but with understanding. That is remarkable." Jack felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had contributed, but he understood that Lysera had guided him, giving him insight into the world and its delicate balance. Her laughter, soft and approving, filled the chamber like a comforting melody. After the council meeting, Lysera led Jack to the highest tower of the palace. From there, the view of Viridian 7 was breathtaking. Glowing cities, luminescent forests, and rivers of flowing energy stretched as far as the eye could see. It was a vision of harmony, potential, and growth. "You have done well, human," Lysera said, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Your actions, your choices, and your understanding have shown me that humans are capable of extraordinary things. Courage and ingenuity, yes, but also empathy and cooperation. You embody the qualities that my people respect and value." Jack looked at her, feeling the depth of her words. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I never expected to be part of something like this. To learn to contribute? It's more than I imagined." Lysera smiled, a rare softness in her expression. "And yet you accepted my offer without hesitation. You took a leap of faith, and it has brought us both to this point. That is why I laugh. It is not mockery, but delight. Delight at the unexpected courage and insight of a human." For the first time, Jack realized the full weight of her words. Their connection was not simply political or strategic. It was built on mutual respect, trust, and the recognition of each other's strengths. The Queen had seen something in him that few could understand, and he had grown into that trust. The day continued with a journey to the Lumeris forest once more. But this time it was not for tests or observation. They were visiting a sacred grove where the oldest trees glowed with a gentle golden light. Lysera explained that these trees were symbols of history, resilience, and interconnectedness. "To understand Viridian 7, she said, "one must see the past and recognize the roots of our present. Only then can you guide the future." Jack walked among the trees, touching their glowing bark and feeling the faint pulse of life within them. It was a humbling experience, a reminder that even the most advanced societies depended on understanding, care, and respect for all living things. Lysera's voice brought him back to the present. "You have seen much, human, and you have contributed greatly. But one final step remains." Jack turned to her, curious. "What is that?" She gestured to a platform suspended above a river of flowing light. "This is the trial of decisions. You will face a scenario that requires judgment, courage, and empathy. Your choice will affect not only you but many others." The platform descended slowly, and Jack found himself in a simulation of a real-world crisis. A natural disaster had struck a city, cutting off energy flows, endangering citizens, and causing widespread panic. He had minutes to assess, prioritize, and implement a plan. Jack's mind raced. He analyzed the situation, coordinated with virtual responders, and devised a strategy that balanced immediate safety with long-term recovery. He rerouted energy, created safe zones, and used the city's systems to evacuate and assist citizens efficiently. When the simulation ended, Lysera's voice sounded softly beside him. You acted with intelligence, courage, and empathy. You saw the needs of individuals and the greater good simultaneously. That is the mark of true understanding. Jack exhaled, feeling both relief and pride. I did what I could, he said. I only hope it was enough. Lysera's laughter, gentle and approving, filled the air. It was more than enough, human. You have grown, learned, and acted with a heart and mind that honor both species. That is why I accepted your offer and why I trust you. As the sun set over Viridian 7, painting the sky in deep purples and golds, Lysera and Jack returned to the palace balcony. The city and forests below shimmered with light, a testament to resilience, balance, and potential. You have changed, Lysera said softly. Not only have you learned, but you have contributed. Your presence here has shown that humans can adapt, understand, and lead in ways that complement our own strengths. Jack looked at her, feeling a deep respect and gratitude. And you have taught me more than I could have imagined. Not just about your world, but about courage, empathy, and seeing beyond myself. Lysera's smile softened further, her eyes reflecting the light of the city. That is why I laughed the first time you spoke boldly. It was a moment of curiosity and joy, a recognition that perhaps this human could rise to meet challenges we never expected. And now you have. Jack felt a profound sense of accomplishment and connection. He had come to Viridian 7 as an outsider, a human unsure of his place. Through trials, challenges, and experiences guided by the Queen, he had grown into a role that mattered. He had contributed to understanding, cooperation, and harmony. As night fully settled, the stars above Viridian 7 mirrored the lights below. Jack understood that this was more than an ending. It was the beginning of a new chapter. The Queen's laughter, her guidance, and the trust she had placed in him had opened doors to adventures, responsibilities, and possibilities beyond imagination. Lysera turned to him one final time that evening. The galaxy is vast, human. Many challenges await, and your journey does not end here. But today you have proven that humans are capable of extraordinary things. You have my respect, my trust, and in a way, my acknowledgement that you are remarkable. Jack smiled, a mix of humility, pride, and anticipation filling him. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will continue to learn, to help, and to honor that trust. Lysera's laughter echoed softly through the palace, like a gentle melody carrying promise and hope. Then together, human, we will face the future, and perhaps the galaxy will see what humans and Viridionians can achieve when they act with courage, wisdom, and empathy. As they stood side by side, overlooking the glowing cities and forests of Viridian 7, Jack realized that he had become part of something far larger than himself. A partnership between worlds, a story of trust and understanding, and a journey that would shape generations to come. The night was quiet, but alive with potential. Jack knew that adventures lay ahead, but for now he allowed himself to absorb the moment. A human and an alien queen, united by curiosity, trust, and the promise of a shared future.